I'm still here about an hour later, and do you hear that? Do you hear that noise? That was kind of quiet, but occasionally it sounded like thunder in the distance coming out of that pipe. Occasionally when a really big tractor trailer goes by, a few seconds later, crash in that pipe. I called the state police, DPW, DOT, not taking it seriously. It's coming out filthy, covered in suds. All this murky water is dirt eroding from inside the hill beneath the highway. The other side, it's going in the pipe crystal clear. So where is this coming from? The pipe is deteriorating. Like you see over here how this thing has a bunch of holes right through it. That's what the inside of this pipe looks like. I knew this day would come. I just didn't think I'd see it happening. So, they don't want to take my calls seriously. I just hope nobody gets hurt when the ground opens up, because unless they do something, that's going to happen. And also, you know the ground in there is falling apart because the current keeps changing. You see how the rapids are coming out of there really fast? Occasionally they slow down and a giant wave comes out of there. Occasionally the suds stop. Then it starts up again when more falls in. It's not... Oh, look, you see that? You see how the current just moved over to that side? Because something fell. Here comes a big truck. Wait for it. Didn't happen that time. But you see how the current keeps moving? Occasionally it's flowing out of here. Now it's like aimed over there. You gotta see what's happening here. It's moving because debris is falling. Okay, something else is happening now. See how it's moving over here again? You see how the current is now moving straight again? The current is straight again because whatever collapsed eroded out of the way, and now the pipe's open again until the next thing falls down. Because I think the pipe in there, like the ceiling, the metal ceiling, broke, and ground is just falling when the vibrations of big tractor trailers go over. And if it's been doing this for years, there could be a hole inside that hill so big, like a giant empty space. This is how a sinkhole happens. Well, if you listen to my other video, I called the DPW, they showed up, they don't own this, they gave me the... Hear that? Hear that thunder? It sounds like thunder. I hope that's shown. I hope you can hear that. Okay, look at that. You see how the current's changing? Something fell. Oh. Look at that. You see all the little debris in there? Look at that. Where's that coming from? Let's get a little bit closer. Heard that? More dirt's falling. Like, this has literally been going on. I've been sitting here watching this now for almost 5 hours. If it's going the other end clear, this water is raging. If there's 5 hours of dirt eroding, imagine how much it's eroding in the hill. Like, look at all this stuff. This is what happens when cities and even the Department of Transportation can't afford to fix things. We have bridges all over the place, crumbling, failing. This is neglect. A lot of drains, I wouldn't call it neglect. Well, the ones with dirt on them, that takes years. But ones with leaves, that clogs up in hours after they sweep it. But this, I walked through that thing in the summertime when this thing wasn't flowing, and I showed all the damage in there. In the summertime, I reported it. Nothing. They never came out here once. What is this thing on the tree? Did they flag it for something? Nah, it's just a boundary line. Like, that's their property line, the highway. That's what that is. We haven't changed direction in a while, which means it's not, we haven't had a cave-in in a little while. If you're noticing small things like debris, that's coming from the other side, like sticks. Because sticks that deep in the ground, unless they actually backfilled it and it somehow got preserved, that wouldn't be from the ground. Well, I can almost guarantee I'll be coming back here in the future, unclogging that drain a few more times, and nothing is going to be done about this unless it actually caves in up there. I've reported this on different days so many times. The state police, I even asked them if there's someone I can call. Nope. You got to call the emergency line for the Department of Transportation, and they don't take it as an emergency unless it actually happens. Like, when I called the town DPW, because I thought this was theirs, because the pond is on town property. No, they can't do anything about this. They can't touch it. They walked out here with me. I showed them, and they said they would call too, but they can't do a thing about it. They actually explained to me how this would be done. If they were to replace this pipe, well, because there's obviously a sinkhole there, if they do replace it, they would have to rip apart the entire hill to make sure there's no holes, like eroded areas. But usually these days, when they replace a pipe, they don't have to tear down the whole hill. They have a machine that slides it out and slides another one right back in before the ground collapses. The guy explained to me that's what they do. And I told him that if that drain over there ever clogs up, that pond can only rise 2 feet before it floods the nearby road. It did flood a few years ago. I saw that happen. But there was nothing I could do back then. Back then I didn't film drains because I didn't know filming it was a thing. But yeah, I didn't have cameras and stuff back then. But it flooded the road. Back then, that would have been too dangerous to try to get in there because it would have been up to almost my neck, no, not my neck probably, maybe my chest if it was out flooding the road. That much water, if I was to open up a spot, you just couldn't, because it would so much force, it would suck you up against the grate. And that's so super dangerous. But when I go out there and do it like a foot of water, that's not enough pressure to hold you down. I come out here to make sure that road never floods again. And the city workers liked what I said, because I explained that to them. You're noticing now how the rapids got bigger? Why did the rapids get bigger? Something in there changed. The input is still the same, but why does the rapids keep changing? I know this video is probably super boring unless you like watching just water flowing. And this whole area, it's like a big whirlpool going around there. Oh, I know why it's so big now. You hear that in there? Yeah, more and more is collapsing. That's why there's so much water coming out, because the dirt is, you know, taking up space, and it's... It scares me seeing those giant trucks going over this. All I can say is hopefully nobody gets hurt as a result of the Department of Transportation's negligence. That's what this is. Negligent, not taking this as an emergency. They should have been out here immediately doing this. It's now been 5 hours since I made my original report.